Hey guys, Alicia Crook here from Massage Champions, and I'm really excited to share with you the story and case study of Stephen Bowden and his beautiful partner, Jess. What we're going to hear from Stephen is his journey over the last 2 years in his business, from being a very brand new, fresh out of college massage therapist, graduating from his myotherapy course, and what they implemented in their business. Jess is a beauty therapist, and I'm going to share with you their journey of the challenges that they faced, what they overcame, how they did it. And I want you to listen really carefully to the insights that he gives around mindset and how that profoundly shifted and changed the way that they showed up in business. I know that this is going to be really powerful for anybody who has an understanding of the mind-body connection, and Stephen shares this really well through his own journey. So I look forward to sharing this case study with you, and I can't wait to see it at the end of the video. Hey, Stephen, how are you going?
I'm very well, Alicia. How are you?
Fabulous. Thank you. It's awesome to be able to connect with you today. Would you like to share a little bit about who you are, who you help, and a bit about your business and where you guys are located?
Sure. My name's Stephen Bowden. I have a small business together with my partner, Jessica, in Stockton, Newcastle. It's on the other side of the harbour there, and a little bite. We have been here probably going into just over our 4th year now. And my partner does beauty therapy. She's a fully qualified beauty therapist who specialises in skin. And I do the remedial massage. I sort of class myself as a multi-modality therapist. So anything from myofascial, lymphatic, sports, pregnancy, chronic diseases, reflexology, different things like that. Energy work as well. Is what I sort of dabble in and cross over. Yeah, we love what we do.
Which is awesome and really, really clear. From anyone listening to you, you can just see how much you love this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Really cool. So how did you guys get into this industry? Because you haven't always done it. It has been more recent for yourself. Where did you come from originally?
Well, I has a very varied background. I've had a lot of different jobs. The one before I came into massage, I guess, was hospitality and security, high-end security. Very stressful jobs. And I was in the hospitality game for about 25 odd years. It was pretty much all I knew. All my contacts, all my sort of family were in that sort of arena. And it was actually when I was working flat out in Brisbane, doing about 15, 18 hour days, high-end sort of security, you're always on guard, very anxious, and my body pretty much just turned on itself. I got an autoimmune reactive arthritis. And it was during that recovery stage that I actually got exposed to remedial massage. Thought, hey, this stuff's all right, get some good results here. And that brought me to do my diploma in 2004. But that was after I had to return home and get better for a year. So it took me 12 months to get back in the workforce. And more for me, I went actually back into hospitality because that was what I knew. Had to get the paychecks coming in, all that type of stuff that you get caught up in. And Jessica was in hospitality as well, and it was not until some years after that where we both worked together in a hotel, the Sydney Junction, where she went through and she did her beauty diploma, and then she moved out of the hotel game. She was out of the game for about 12 months or so, and just starting to feel this area, Stockton, because she's a local girl from Stockton, into the area in the market here. And then one night in hospitality, about 2 o'clock in the morning, was having one of those rough nights. And anyone who's been in hospitality knows what a rough night is. It's not too pretty. And about 2 o'clock, I just went, you know what? It was akin to one of those penny drop moments. I said, my heart's not in it. It hasn't been in it for a while. I'm just going through the motions. This isn't fulfilling. All that stuff that comes up. And a week later, I handed in my resignation. And 2 weeks later, I was out of the game. Big leap of faith, but I really wanted to move into to remedial massage. Jess has already started in beauty therapy, so we sort of had this little seedling plan to join forces. And I took a couple of months off just to sort of, recover, because I was quite burnt out again. Sort of saying to myself, well, heading down the same path here, I'm going to get crook, I'm going to fall in a heap and be good to no one. So we moved in home based to Jess's parents' place for 12 months without air conditioning, and just thought we'd test the waters there and see how we go. We had a great response, and then we're lucky enough to get this space here in Mitchell Street. And as they say, the rest is history, and I had to upgrade to sort of bring my qualifications up to scratch, because it was back in 04 where I did the original diploma. And since then, we've been going pretty much from strength to strength. And yeah, we love being here in Stockton. Jess is a local girl. She loves serving that community. And look, the worst day we have here doing our own thing is still better than the best day in hospitality. You're already got a job.
Absolutely.
So yeah, when you're doing something you love, the hard work's always that bit better, a bit easier.
Yeah, nice. Thank you for sharing your story, because I think sometimes when we get to the end of your story, we're going to hear some really amazing things. But I think that it's so important that people hear where it started, and starting from a place of burnout and understanding how our physical body and our mental mind are so closely linked.
Oh, yes.
So before we get to that fun stuff, because that's what's coming, when did we first meet? It was a couple of years ago now. Where were you guys at in your business, and what were you looking for at that time?
I think we're 12 months set up in the business. Me being in hospitality management licensee, and that had business background. Jess the same, but it's a different kettle of fish when you're a practitioner and business person. With the business person, you're sort of directing the business. It's what you do. You're in there. But as a practitioner, you've got to skip from the business side of things, that real analytical side, to the therapist side of things, where your whole focus is obviously on your client, where it should be. So it was like trying to juggle those two balls in the air constantly for us. And we were doing okay, but we thought, there's a lot of stuff here and we're missing, and we sort of started to see the trees and not the forest type of thing. And then we joined the massage support network, and then we got a call from, I think it was Jamie.
Yeah.
And she just told us about you guys, and we talked to Jess about it, and then we I think it was November of the first year we signed up with you. But we were basically looking for the structure to put in place. And what we got with the six-figure program was a lot more than that. There was also this, the business is you, you run the business doesn't run you, and this whole mindset thing behind it. But the structure on how to get these people in, how to market people, not product, and how to make them happy, how to serve them, how to organise them, how to get that return business, that type of thing. It's a whole different kettle of fish when you're talking the health industry, as opposed to just presenting a product and promoting a product, because these are people that you're dealing with, and anyone who deals with people sort of wants to make a difference. So we wanted to do it right, basically. We've always done things, no matter what we've done, to the best of our ability, and this is just a natural follow through from that, because we are now the representatives of the business. So we don't want to, excuse the expression, we don't want to half-ass it. We want to get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we thought these guys seem all right. Yeah, they're a couple. We'll probably get along. We'll give them a go.
Nice. So what were some of the first things that you put in place when working with us?
Know your numbers, KPIs. We had a rough idea, but to actually focus in on them and know what they are, and know what our minimum requirement is in order to hit that mark. And of course, when you're looking at that, you always want to project forward. Okay, what can we achieve? So I guess the first thing we could put in place there was just getting to know the numbers. Little things like the booking system, the online booking system, we got soon after that. And just mindset and reassurance, I think, from you guys was another big thing that came into play. That, yeah, there was someone there to fall back on and to help with any information. Because, you know, doing all the marketing and whatnot, as well as, you know, getting the clients in, is just something that's ever changing. So we just needed that new advice on what that was. But I'd say the first thing would probably be getting to know the numbers and rostering ourselves accordingly. Like, you know, not working 12, 13-hour days, but having the confidence to set the boundaries, to not overwork, so it is sustainable. I'd say the two major things.
Because I think that, and it's such a great point, because I think when we look at like numbers, and we do track them every week, and we have a system for submitting them to us, and, you know, the group doesn't say that, we do, but it does make you look. And one of the things we talk about is that critical mass of knowing exactly what is your break-even point. How many clients do you have to see to keep the doors open, but also to pay yourself, because it doesn't just mean working for nothing and just working for the tax man or whatever. It actually means working so that A, you're not getting burnt out, B, you have boundaries around your time, C, it might be daunting to go, I have to see 17 clients every single week, or I don't get to eat. However, what you know is that when you see 17 clients a week, you don't have to be seeing 25 to 30. And once you've tipped your 17, which you know you're getting paid from, you actually can relax. And it's like, it sets you a target so that you can actually go, I'm allowed to take Tuesday mornings off, or it's okay for me to go and play golf or hang out with our son, or whatever it looks like to you guys, rather than feeling like I have to be working all the time because I'm flying blind, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And that really does help with your mindset and your peace of mind, especially drawing the pay. And it's a good point you make. There's a lot of therapists out there, especially when they start in their first business, they pay themselves measly, or don't pay themselves at all, or pay them out of the business account when they have something that they're out and about and need to be paid. And it throws that uncertainty through the bookworks. And I know myself, now that I know those minimum numbers and we're working towards it, okay, didn't quite get there. But with the roll on that we have now, our 2 to 3, 4 weeks out, we have a rotation of clients coming through. And we know that through that week, we'll probably get another 12 to 20 odd inquiries. Yeah. So we're at that stage now. We've got this, we're known, and we're, in some cases, the first people that our clients think of when someone brings up pain, or they're in pain themselves. So that just enables us to keep that online booking and the admin bookings coming in nice and steadily, and to draw a wage and be certain that, okay, you might not get to that mark, but next week you might, or if you do hit your 17 per se, anything else above that, if you feel like it, is cream.
Yeah.
And taking back control and giving yourself control of your own business, I think, is very empowering, and it really does boost your confidence there.
Yeah. How many clients would you have been seeing in the massage side of things when you very first started with us? A week?
When I very first started, I was probably hovering around about I'd say 7 to 10 mark.
Yeah.
There.
And what were you charging?
I remember thinking 7 clients was an awesome week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. This is great. That soon changed.
Yeah. Well, what were you charging back then too?
In-house, and I think people that are working out of home in general charge much less, but I think I started around about 75, and then that went up to 80, and I stayed at 80 for quite a long time.
Yep. And what are you charging now?
$95 initial and $90 an hour.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
consult.
And how many clients do you see on average a week now?
Look, I would minimum see 17 to 25.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I know, because I know your numbers, and that's been consistently for the last 12 months.
Yeah.
And it's not going anywhere. Like, once you keep that consistent number, and you know why, you know your marketing, you know your systems, you've got your regular clients coming in, that momentum, you know, even if you were to fall off the face of the planet and have to come back in 4 weeks' time, I know that it wouldn't take long for you to be able to pick that up and just run with it, because you've already built that momentum. And it's not just you're relying on one Facebook ad or one email sequence or one whatever. That it's a multifaceted approach and you've built the neural pathways as the business owner to know exactly how you did that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the certainty now. And I was actually quite a few months back now, but there was a bit of competition in the air. So where I probably would have got a little bit shirty and just through uncertainty, just thought, a bit of insecurity. Instead, I was able to step back from the situation and go, okay, well, I'll put a blog out there now, and I'll put something on Facebook, and I'll share it in this group, and I'll also do this for the regular clients. And I had, honestly, around about 6 options to go through where I could counteract what was happening. I think we launched an ad in the local paper that week as well. And it's all just a matter of, okay, well, you want to put that there, I'll put that there, and there. And this is just through the marketing side of things. And we're not, like, business is tough. There is competition, but at the same time, there's enough for everyone. I do come from an abundance sort of mindset now. But there's a way and a means to go about it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right. And you're right, when you say you've got lots of options, it does give you certainty. Because if you are sitting there with just this one thing over here, if that stops working, then you are still a sitting duck. And so that's why you want to have a multifaceted approach. If you've got, I think Richard Branson won't move forward in business unless he has 17 different options. And so we sit here going, I could do this or this. It's like you're still in survival mode if you've only got 2 options. You've got 3 options now, you've got choice. The more options you have, the less fear, survival mode, uncertainty, anxiety that comes up because there's multiple vehicles to get where you want to go. And as soon as you sit back into that abundance mindset of there's plenty for everyone, you actually also step back into your heart. And rather than operating from a place of, oh my God, how am I going to feed myself? And what are they thinking about? It's like, yeah, okay, we always go there because we're human. And then to have the resources and tools to go, oh, okay, fine. That's just them doing what they're doing. Good on them. They're doing the best with the resources they've got. Now, what resources have I got that I could actually put stuff out there as well? Yeah. And I think when you have that shift in mindset, that's what we talk about as a mindset change. It actually is shifting from our head that's quite noisy and into our heart, because when we operate from here, even the ads that we put into the newspaper look better, they sound better, they get more people attending them and attention, eyeballs on them, because literally they said more clearer rather than coming from a space of kind of thing. Yeah,
absolutely. We've seen good examples of that too, of people who react angrily to what you put out. And that's just, whenever that happens, go, I must be hitting pretty close to the mark then. That's good.
It's a great way to reframe it. It's beautiful.
It is, yeah. We're just putting content out that we think is right. There's no one-upmanship. And I think alongside of that marketing is the clients. The number one thing, the laser focus every time they come in should be those clients. And you've got to have a bit of a connection. You've always got to be the therapist to keep that boundary there, but to be able to have a laugh and to share those moments with them and to send them out the door happy, I think is the biggest thing you can do in any business, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't matter what anyone else does. I mean, some people like Aldi, some like Coles, some like Woolworths,
There's no right or wrong, it's just so.
It just is, yeah, exactly.
So, Stephen, you're not just a remedial massage therapist. You've gone on to do a lot of other, you've done a lot of energy work, you've done a lot of trauma work, you've done a lot of different modalities that you now have added to that skill set. Can you share with us the journey that it took from going from someone who was burnt out and a little bit fearful of running a great empire, considering it could happen again, to somebody who now actually helps people through trauma, which we know you can't do unless you've actually traveled that journey yourself, or you can't do it as authentically unless it is a lived experience. What was your transition and journey into that and wanting to help those type of people?
Ooh, okay. Deep question. Here we go. Look, basically my hurt. As you said, you can be a trauma therapist and not have any trauma, but you tend to not resonate with many people. I've been there. We've had, and I'm still, even the last couple of weeks ago, found out another jigsaw piece puzzle about what I went through, and that was purely down to my ability to relate, hold the space, and let mum know that it was okay to tell me, like, there's nothing wrong or right about it. It just happened, you know. And you know, why did it happen? Because it did. And so I constantly draw on that past experience that I've had to relate to the people that walk in with her. I was seeing a lot of that through just walking through the door, stored emotional energy. And now it's, you know, it's been proven that you know, if your body is in a stress response, that kind of constant response will cause disease and autoimmune diseases in the body. So I got into energy work. I had actually done Reiki quite a bit before my diploma. So the calling to work on this sort of stuff has always been there for me. I've always had this, what is this otherworldly thing? You know, what is this that we sort of construct about us? That we carry this hurt and trauma and these things happen, you know, this karmic sort of stuff. And so I did my master's in Reiki, which opened up a whole other doorway when I came back into massage, and it didn't take long to take the gloves off and get back into that type of thing. And then I studied Sambahan, which is a less structured form of energy work for removing trauma. And that goes into where the trauma may be held in the body, from your cartilage, your soft tissue, your bone, organs, that type of thing. Sensing where that is, feeling into that trauma and trying to help that energy move along, which I'm able to do quite successfully, and people sort of can sometimes associate into that trauma. So where I was finding that gap was how to assure them mentally about what is happening physically, which is where NLP came into it. And it's just basically asking the right questions in the right way at the right time for them to come out with the answers. Because we do try and connect with the unconscious mind. It's just reassuring them that what that unconscious mind, what they are first saying, is really themselves trying to speak out and help. So that has always fascinated me, and there's so much of it out there, that I moved into that, incorporate that into my practice now as well. And look, it's still very much horses for courses. People come over with a sore shoulder, we treat the shoulder, and that's it. Happy day, see you later. Other people come in with long-term infections and different things like that. And it absolutely amazes me when you say to them, have you had a hard knock lately, like months ago, or is there something you're not listening to, or is there something that you're not saying? I, for example, said this to a lady who had a constant ear infection. So metaphysically, you know, what are you not hearing? What are you not listening to? What are you not speaking for? And then she burst into tears. So yeah, hit pretty close to the mark on that one. But and this is exactly this whole body-mind connection and disease thing that's going on in the community, that we want to try and tap into and just release so people can live their best lives, really. And because of my past trauma, I can now relate to that, know what it's like, get in amongst it, so to speak, and I can talk about my trauma when needs be. I don't feel comfortable standing on a pedestal to poor me. There's a lot of people out there that have gone through a lot worse than myself, but I find it now, instead of being something that I'm uncomfortable with or recoil from, now I can share with that person and relate to them what it feels like. My pain story now can be a little bit of their healing sort of story. He's not just a therapist, he's not just talking at me, he's talking with me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that really lights me up.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
It's so powerful because, like, I think obviously we need to be qualified to do that stuff. It's not just, I think a lot of therapists are intuitive, which is great. But what I love about you is that you have, like I said, lived experience of this, and you've done your own work through it, so that when trauma is talked about in the treatment room, you don't associate it into yours. It's kind of like, the way I describe it is the energy around that is gone. Like I had major back surgery at 15. I can talk about that and there is no energy around it whatsoever. And I will only share it with my clients when I felt like it was clinically appropriate. You know, like having a gorgeous man who was 89 and he was so scared because he was about to have one disc removed. And I'm like, yeah, when I was 15, I had 5. And he was kind of like, oh my God, like, you know, just, but it was that shock of that break state for him to go, okay, maybe this is not the worst thing in the world, and maybe it could actually help because it's
she did that. She's walking, then yeah.
And she's vibrant and, you know, all that stuff. And there's no energy around it. And like I said, I don't jump up on a pedestal and go, guess what? Major back surgery, 15, yip, because so many people have so much worse that they can't be corrected for, that I had surgery for, you know, blah, blah, blah. And like you say, when you have the right moment to be able to go, actually, I just need to tap into that for this person, and to be able to be the model to say, this is how I changed. This is how things were different. And this is how you can, if you choose, if you want to, you know, we can go there. And because you're not just saying it from a place of intuition, you're actually saying it from a place of learning as well. I think that is such a beautiful mishmash, which can't happen if your business isn't working. Like, I know this is meant to be a business conversation, and it is, because these are the people that you help. And I also know from the work that we've done together that you can't go to this place if you can't put food on the table. Like, you know, we talk tactically about systems and Facebook ads and different ways for doing it, but you can't get to this level of emotional and spiritual intelligence in the treatment room if that other stuff isn't handled. And I think a lot of people want to be in the place that you're at, but they aren't willing to go and have a look at the tactics of business to be able to say, okay, I need to understand this so that I can make a greater impact, both in my community, but also in the depth of conversation that's actually happening, and in the breakthroughs that you are qualified to be able to help and facilitate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got to sort your bread and butter. The business wheels have to turn, and you've got to be multifaceted. It's great. I could practice without high caps, and that's no dramas, but I chose to redo or upgrade the diploma, so I'd have another prong on the fork there for those people that do have healthcare and do want to claim on it, and don't want to go anywhere else that they can't.
Yeah.
And you know, all funds are different. Some people come, they use me 3 or 4 times, and the fund's gone anyway. So you work something out there. If they're a local, we might have a little bit of a $5 discount if they're returning. Different things like that. So there's no right or wrong way to run a business. It's how you want to do it, as long as you're making that margin. And you know, even like making margins, making money, it's like to a lot of people. But you've got to be able to do that. You've got to be able to know your KPIs. You've got to be able to put that little bit of away. You've got to be able to pay yourself in order to go forward and do what you want to do, learn what you want to learn. Like that sort of stuff there. There's the medals too there behind me. But all those certificates and whatnot you see there, they cost money. Money, time, effort,
energy,
frustration, energy. But it all depends on what you want to bring to your clinic. So whatever you think your niche is, whatever you think your training should be focused on, it all comes down to having that business turning over successfully or at a good pace, so you can start adding different stuff to it. Then a year or so down the track, you know, you're employing people, and you know, you're making an income and a turnover, and your dream is even more vibrant, and you're closer to living your dream than, you know, you thought possible, which is always inspiring.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to share with us those medallions up on the wall that we can see behind your head there? They're part of the 6-Figure Therapist program. What was that? What kind of motivated you to go towards those?
That was in our last quarter too. We actually, Jess and I, put a bit of pressure on ourselves, but we wanted to really kick them and get them done. We had a few of the columns ticked off, and 1 or 2 in each of the column that weren't. So we just decided that, okay, we're going to focus on that, and slowly through that sort of quarter, we ticked off each little bit in each column. And I actually didn't think we were going to get that many all up. I was just more concerned about ticking the little boxes, not the medals on top. And that was, whatever we start, we want to finish. And Jess is pretty much the same as well. And, you know, sometimes you might start something, get halfway through it and go, this is not what I really wanted, but still, you've made the commitment. And I think it's important to yourself to follow through and finish those things, because that's a good habit.
Yeah.
And at least, you know, you'll get to the end of it, whether you learn anything or not, at least you've completed it and you know there's no what ifs, you know. Fortunately, that hasn't happened too much for us. But we have a big planner on the wall. They were above it. And we saw we were very close to a lot of columns, but not quite there. So what motivated us was to really try and clean up and square away and make sure that we had these systems going and running and all those things happening that were set out as tasks. And fortunately for us, we were able to do that, which is great. And in the course of doing that, we even picked up on a lot of stuff that we weren't aware of, that we double checked and went, oh, okay, yep. So even looking at those columns and just revising was a great benefit to us. Before that, I think it's a long retreat.
Yeah. And they're medallions that we give to people. They're shiny, they're heavy, they clank together when you get more than one. They go off at airports, and they're a part of the program that we do. We give them out at retreats for the work that has been done. There's a criteria, and for that exact reason, you know, just like you said, Stephen, that it does makes you look at stuff to go, oh, actually, have I really got that? Oh, yeah, now that's a good thing to go over and just sort of check. I love that. What about the people that you met throughout the Six Figure Therapist program? What was your experience with the people that you met?
Awesome. They're all awesome. I don't think I've met either online or at a retreat a bad egg amongst them. The type of people that the program sort of attracts are people that want more, and that I think on their own level, they know they can deliver and be more, and so they're attracted to the program because it gives them that structure, gives them the answers to the questions. It really does stop you making mistakes for like 3 to 6 months, when you can go to a mentor and go, hey, I've got this problem, or you post it into the group page, and then all of a sudden you've got all this feedback coming in. Didn't think of that. Okay, and so off you go. So. And we still miss that to some degree. We had to dip into the six-figure group and go, hey, is anyone experiencing this, or where are you up to in the program here? And it just comes at you. So you just, you know, pick and choose the info, or of course you guys will chime in with the words of wisdom and go, of course. That and the porthole, it's got so much information there, it's unbelievable. And the people that it attracts are all just heart-centered people. They just want better. There's no snobbery. They're very heart-centered. They want to do the best they can in their business, and for the most part, I can tell that it really makes a big difference to the people that are involved in the program if their business is going well, because their heart and soul are invested in that. So you know, the wealth of knowledge. I remember looking around the room at retreats going, holy hell, if I had these people under one roof, it'd be game over. You know, and there's naturopaths, osteopaths, there's remedial massage therapists, there's so many varied modalities in that room, and they're all very knowledgeable and want better, and are usually top of their game. So it's always a buzz to be in an environment where you're around peers that dig it and get it, you know, get what you do, no matter what you do. So I just found it just embarrassment of riches as far as knowledge and just good people, really.
Yeah, nice. So if somebody was listening to this and they were thinking about stepping into the program and they weren't sure, they were sitting on the fence, is it for them because maybe they might be into more energetic stuff and they're not sure if this whole structure-y, you know, talking about money thing is for them, what would you say to them?
Stop thinking. Stay in your head, you're dead. I would say you're obviously looking at a program that's going to bring you more or add more value, and I think this is a good place to start. I know that when we first started in the program, we had a list of things that we wanted, and that changed and evolved over time. And I would say let that happen. It's natural for plans to shift and move, and goalposts to be put further apart. But it's a great program for those people, whether you've been in the game for a while and are just looking for that next step, whether it be employment or outsourcing or whatever that is, or if you're fresh into the game, then this is a great way to set your foundations up for solid growth. You won't look back, or you'll be too busy going forward, put it that way. But just for the tribe, being part of that tribe and the support that you get, the information that's involved that you guys filter through the e-program, and just yourselves as mentors and the way you sort of break things down, come at things at different angles, and just so free with your information. You can't go wrong. It can be information overload when you first come into the group, and it can reflect back on you. Oh shit, geez, I've got a bit to go here. But I'd say embrace that. Take what you need, throw the rest over your head, and then as you step along your journey, you'll pick that back up and you'll need that again. It just depends on where you are. But the program, no matter whether you've been in it for years or you're just starting, it really is applicable to anyone. If you want to step up and do a bit of work and really have a look at what you're doing and where you want to go, then I'd say joining this program is a win-win, absolutely. But you've got to do the work. No one else is going to do it for you.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve. That's beautiful. And what about your relationship with Jess? Like, that's something that we worked on a bit over the last couple of years. And I mean, and again, you guys brought already so much to the table. You are such a powerhouse. We often had a joke that you're similar to James and I, in that Jess has a lot of energy and is a bit of a firecracker, and James is a lot more staid and more, just less energy, more solid. And there's a lot of similarities in our relationship in that way, in our energy. What were some things you learned about how to run a business as a couple together?
Take a breath. Don't take each other's heart attacks seriously. And it's really hard. I say, leave work, at work, and home at home. But I'm yet to meet anyone that can do that. So I think it's just a bit of just keep respecting each other. The moment the language goes south, then the relationship usually does as well. So if you hold each other through those difficult decisions in a respectful way, I think you'll always find an answer. And we all make mistakes, and if you're employing someone, you can probably be a little sterner, but when it's your partner, you have to sort of plan the times to mention it, so to speak, and work with that, because it really does reflect that you're only human. You're going to make mistakes. And working with your partner can be very rewarding, or it can be a very trying day, especially if one of you are having an off day or out of sync or behind or whatever. But it can be done, and it's very rewarding. I can't imagine us splitting off and doing our separate things, unless it was something, I don't mean breaking up, but I mean it's separate entities of business, because we work so well together now. And it's just a case of just being on the same page. Once a week, once every 2 weeks, have that managers meeting, 6-figure here, at work, for an hour, allot that time, and then move out of that and implement it. I mean, if you try, and that's one way of keeping work separate from home a lot better, because you've dedicated that time, you've held the space on one another, you can get your gripes out, you can get your ideas in, and really talk sensibly. Something happens when you're at work and you have that discussion. You're in work mode. If you try and have that discussion at home, or outside of work hours, it doesn't go so well, we've found. So, have the meetings where you're supposed to have them. Don't take each other so seriously, and just enjoy the ride. I mean, Jess is a very energetic person. She takes on a lot of worry and concern and stress. about different things. There's lots of little triggers that can happen, and I'm that way as well. But we're lucky enough to have them in opposite directions. So when she's wigging out, I can come in and be calm, and when I'm wigging out, she can come in and shake her head at me, then walk away usually. But it's just recognizing what they are, and I made a promise to myself not to stress about money. I mean, I'm in my late 40s now, and we're doing okay. The wolf's not at the door, and we're slowly doing okay. Where one of the things that Jess would see a bill and get agitated about it, straight away type of thing. And it's really easy to take that on as a couple.
Yeah.
I sort of flip that now and go, isn't this unreal? Look at all the stuff we can pay for. Isn't that fantastic? This is unreal.
I love it. And it is. It's such a blessing.
It is. We're only paying for it because we can afford it to. It's because the business is growing, and the bills may grow in line with that too. But therein lies the challenge. The expenditure should be as least as possible while you get that growth. But bills are always going to be a part of it. And the horror story, I guess, and we have is the whole staff employment thing, where it really went pear-shaped for us.
Yeah.
Lovely girl, she's since moved on, but and this is got to own your shit, got to own your mistakes in business, and not own it. Would have been very easy for Jess and I to blame each other over this.
Yeah.
But we struck some common ground, and we were sort of like, well, we're both in the same boat. Like, we just grab a paddle, let's start going.
Yeah.
And the details of that were, we actually paid, it was a junior beauty therapist, we paid her one tier below where her wage should have been.
Yeah.
She was employed with for just over 12 months.
Yeah.
And then through finalising all that up, we actually found out we'd made a mistake.
Yeah.
And the initial assessment was we owed her $6,000 through loss of pay.
Yeah.
Which for a small business was rattling.
Yeah.
And so, getting over that shock phase, and I think we sort of messaged you that same night going, hey, I guess there's, something's hitting the fan here. You want to give some sage advice? That'd be lovely.
Sure.
But it was really good. And it was really good, particularly for Jess, to have someone there to talk to and fall back on and just bounce stuff off. Because sometimes when you're in business as a couple, you could be the wisest person in the world, but they're your couple. You don't want to hear it off them. You're something else in the relationship, not to say, well, maybe we should do this type of thing. So it's good to have that outside of the relationship in order to go, okay, there's reassurance there. You're not just saying that because I'm getting feedback from my mentors, because they've got the experience and that third person perspective to break it down for me. So that was immensely powerful for that. And at the end of the day, it got broken down after over time and all this to just over 4,000, 4,800 or something, I think we owed. Yeah. And that's gone, that's paid, it's all said and done, it's been put to bed. There's, like you say, there's no birds falling out of the tree, the sun's still coming up.
Yeah.
And just to put perspective on that, because out of that, we started running things a lot tighter. Yeah. This is what we're talking about, bread and butter and keeping the business going properly. Jess was able to spend $6,000 on training, not mistakes this year, to bring her level of skincare up to an astounding level with different techniques and machines she's got going on. And I spent just over $3,000 on NLP training and personal coaching. So there's nearly 10 odd grand worth of training just for these two courses from us over this last 12 months.
Yeah.
So, it's all perspective. Saying $6,000 because you missed paid an employee sounds tragic.
Yeah.
Saying $6,000 because I'm training myself sounds fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And the lessons you learn in that, like, often our most painful moments in business are our greatest teachers. Because how blessed do you feel and out of what you've created because of that circumstance, to now be able to go, and this is what we paid in order for our own training, on top of what we did with Six Figure Therapist, like on top of that as well, which is just phenomenal, and paid yourself, and you've got a son who has extra needs, and so you guys, it's extra expenses and all that sort of stuff. So it's like, there is so much going on that you guys have created just from understanding your numbers, being able to have a multifaceted approach to marketing, working on your mindset, overcoming your own challenges, traumas, etc., and then to be able to follow a criteria, get a bunch of medallions, make lots of money, and now make an even greater impact in your community is just absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And the growth that you guys have had is just insane, and it has been such a delight and an honor to walk this journey with you both through the good, the bad, the ugly, you know, through the birds not falling out of the sky, etc., the really tough days. And there has been some really tough days and weeks in business for you guys, and tough times in your relationship as well. And to be able to witness the joy of hanging those medallions around your neck and giving you a hug and watching you get your victory lap is just as delightful, because I know that the growth comes from both ends of the spectrum. So thank you so much for everything that you have brought to the group and that you've brought for yourselves in the growth that you've had and the business that you guys are creating together. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Alicia. My pleasure. Thank you. Couldn't have done it without you.